tu maunga tōku ingoa, nau mai hoki mai ki waiata mai I tēnei pō. Ko te rina tō tātou nei waiata o te pō. Hi everybody, my name is Hope and welcome to Waiata Mai. Tonight we will be singing a beautiful waiata called Te Rina. Nā Tommy taurima tēnei waiata I tito for his granddaughter Te Rina. When he realized that one of her favorite songs was a waiata reo Pākehā called Aquamarina. And so he decided to change the kupu to a reo Māori waiata for her as a lullaby to show his love and affection for her. Over the years, there's been some things added. Engari, I tēnei pō, ka waiata tātou I te waiata tūturu, nā reira, waiata mai e te whānau. The kupu will be there if you need them. Mātawaro, haere o taku, tita pae. Te rina, oh e te rina, tipu e rea, te rina e koua urike. Ko koera, taku nei raukura. Mātawaro, haere o taku, tita pae. Te rina, oh e te rina, tipu e rea, te rina e koua urike. Ko koera, taku nei raukura. Mā te aro, haere o taku, tita pae. Mā te aro, haere o taku, tita pae. Tēnā koutou katoa, e mihi ana ki a koutou katoa kua waiata mai, kua whakarongo mai I tēnei pō. Ka kite. O e te rina.
No, kia ora, e te whānau, kia ora te Patty, Val, Coco, Lois, Des. Oh, kia ora. Yes, sorry, it's a bit of a late one, but it's about the only chance I get. Once I do my papa's last bag, have his kai, as he has his kai and gets ready for his night's sleep, and then I can take a bit of a breather. Kia ora Michelle, kia ora Donna, kia ora Patty. So thank you whānau for tuning in, even as late as it is. So aroha mai, and I do look forward to these little chats. Look, as you can see, the topic's very interesting, eh? Lies. Aren't you just sick of it? Sick to death of all the lies, that come out of politicians. Waha. And I think we need to bring integrity back. The fact that, if you make a promise to get people to elect you. Oh, sorry, Fun, I'm going to take these glasses off again because they're reflecting. But if you make a promise to get elected, then you should be bound by that promise. So I'm going to show you another clip. I'm going to share with you, and then we'll have a kōrero about it and try and relate it back to where we are sitting and where we're at. But I'll mute myself and then I'll share it.
is a man of his word, and his word is this: he loves the American people, particularly the American worker. So you'll never see a $10 billion contract awarded to Amazon. Go! Hello there, you 5.6 million awakening wonders. Thank you very much for joining us on this voyage of discovery together. Hopefully we can awaken one by one collectively, and we'll start thinking of new ways of organizing society at a local level, at a global level, ways that we can be free individually and collectively, becoming who we truly are. If you don't subscribe yet, why not subscribe right now? Recognize that the systems that you live within are never going to serve you. Your culture is never going to help you to become who you really are. You're going to have to find alternative ways around it. Just look at what your government is doing right now. If you are an American, lying to you plainly, not fulfilling the pledges and promises they made when they were waiting to be elected. Joe Biden, I can tell you for a fact, was saying that he was a friend of American workers and unions and all that kind of stuff. Let's have a look at him saying that.
That's what unions are about, in my view. About providing dignity and respect for people who bust their neck. That's why I created the White House Task Force on Worker Organization Empowerment, to make sure the choice to join a union belongs to workers alone. And by the way, Amazon, here we come.
There's something in me sort of wants to believe him, don't you? Like, isn't there something in you that just wants life to be simple and wants things to be straightforward and wants the president to be like a granddad or a grandmother or some sort of parental figure that you can trust and rely on, that will go and get the baddies? You want to see life in those terms. But the truth is this: the Biden administration has just awarded a $10 billion contract to Amazon. Yeah, here we come. Here we come with $10 billion. For you. This story is from The Lever. The Biden administration has re-awarded a massive $10 billion federal contract to Amazon, even as the president is facing mounting pressure to fulfill his promise to halt such contracts to companies that refuse to remain neutral in union elections. The contract decision came as Amazon responded to its workers' first successful union drive by busting the organizing drive that followed. So in that speech in April, Joe Biden was still April. That's just that. It's only just been April, hasn't it? How can you say in April, Amazon, we're coming for you, and in May say, Amazon, we've come for you. Here's $10 billion. Thank you, sir.
One researcher spent 20 years investigating the lives of men who lived up to 120 years. She discovered that one
The usual suspects have been in Davos again at the World Economic Forum, overseen by Klaus Schwab. The few hundred of the most unimaginably rich gathered in one place to fantasize together about what the several billions of us ought to be forced to do in order to make those billionaires' lives better. Those poor billionaires for whom everything on earth might finally be perfect if only someone would invent the vacuum cleaner big enough to suck every last one of us peasants, inconsequential specks of dust that we are, into outer space once and for all. While listening to whichever one on stage is pontificating about this or that technological advance or about how to better structure civilization itself, I find it best to imagine they have the high-pitched, excitable voices of children, like in those TV adverts for Chewy Jelly Sweeties. When I do that, I'm reassured by their evident ridiculousness, their patent lack of a grasp on the reality of what this human species of ours is all about. Some of their ilk talk blithely about the millions, billions of useless eaters who might best be controlled and placated by drugs and video games. I hear it announced that it's already time to hack the human animal and implant technologies to make us better at being alive in the world. Some of them are apportioning to themselves nothing less than the power of God. It's precisely that genetic failing of theirs, demonstrably present in one billionaire or technocrat authoritarian after another, that will always be their undoing in the end. That glitch, that Achilles heel common to all of them, is their failure to note the still limitless potential of the unadulterated human being Mark I. They think they have us mapped, tracked and traced already, but they don't. There's another thing they collectively overlook or deny, at least to themselves, while making their plans and cooking up their little magic potions, and it's fear, their own fear, their all but overwhelming fear of all of us. Whether or not they're aware of it, they are motivated, those few hundred richy richists, by fear of the billions of us. They look out at us, down on us from their castle walls, and our presence in all our endless, untidy, unpredictable variety, and they're afraid. They don't really understand us. They don't really get us, and it's that which has made them fearful. People always fear what they don't understand. When you get right down to it, they'd probably rather we just weren't here. But we are here. We are here, and every last one of us, white, black or brown, tall or short, good at maths or good at growing plants or good at putting smiles on the faces of those around us, or whichever small fragment of the miraculous each of us has within us, every last one of us has the same unalienable right to a place on this planet as any one of them. Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, whoever, has no more right to be here, to live the best life available here than you or me. You may have heard or read by now about the slowly boiled frog. It's that notion that you can put a frog in a pot of cold water and turn on the heat beneath. Poor frog doesn't know what's happening, and so, according to the story, is slowly and unknowingly cooked to death. We're invited to think that we are like that frog, that we are helpless to identify the danger we're in, far less to extricate ourselves from our plight. Here's the thing, it's not true. Back in the 19th century, a scientist of sorts removed a frog's brain and found it would indeed remain in the steadily heating water until dead. But much more recently, in the 20th century, biologists tried the experiment with healthy, complete frogs and found that every single one of them leapt out long before it was in any real danger. Sometimes the frog wouldn't stay in the pot even when there was no heat under it at all. Clearly, the lesson there is that only brainless frogs get boiled alive. I would offer here a helpful analogy. We placed ourselves in a pot called the social contract. This is a way of describing the relationship we proles have with the state. Put simply, under the terms of the social contract, we agreed to behave and do our bit, and in return the state kept us safe from crime and undue suffering and protected our rights and freedoms. That was the deal. A while ago, though, even before the adventures of COVID-19, the state turned the heat on under the pot. It takes a while, and each one of us frogs becomes aware of the change at a different moment. But sooner or later, one frog after another realizes the water has become unpleasantly warm and jumps out. I feel this is what is happening now. That's what's been happening for years. More and more healthy frogs with brains intact are getting out of the pot, turning their backs on the social contract. For those who thought they could cook us without us knowing, this is a frightening time. The billionaires, technocrats and autocrats can sit together in Davos and squeak excitedly to one another all they want, but they're in another pot, a pot of their own elitism, and the heat under theirs is rising too.
Hey, it's Ted McGrath. So when I first launched online, I really struggled to even get 2 clients.
I am wired to look back in time in search of answers to problems. Given the assumption that there's nothing new under the sun, that a version of whatever is happening now has likely happened in the past, I look to see how things played out. Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Caledonians of the north faced off against a Roman army led by a Roman governor called Agricola. Among much else, the Roman Empire wanted submission from those people they deemed lesser, inferior. According to Agricola's son-in-law, Tacitus, the Caledonians were led by one they called Calgacus, which means the swordsman, who rallied his forces with these words, or words like them. To all of us, slavery is a thing unknown. There are no lands beyond us, and even the sea is not safe, menaced as we are. And thus, in war and battle, in which the brave find glory, even the coward will find safety, unpolluted by the contagion of slavery. The furthest limits of Britain are thrown open, and the unknown always passes for the marvellous. But there are no tribes beyond us, nothing indeed but waves and rocks, and yet more terrible Romans, from whose oppression escape is vainly sought by obedience and submission. Robbers of the world, having by their universal plunder exhausted the land, they rifle the deep. If the enemy be rich, they are rapacious. If he be poor, they lust for dominion. Neither the East nor the West has been able to satisfy them. Alone among men, they covet with equal eagerness poverty and riches. They create a devastation and call it peace. I read about those Romans and see the model for every autocratic empire there ever was and that ever shall be, from whose oppression escape is vainly sought by obedience and submission. The Romans were the victors of the battle in question, but they never did win either the submission or the obedience of those Caledonians. The Roman Empire declined and fell, of course, as every empire must. Empires used to last for centuries. The most recent last for just years. They fall, the world kings, faster and faster every time. The strutting peacocks of Davos, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, and the World Health Organization are no Romans, but they want our obedience and submission and have endeavoured to obtain as much by stealth. They thought we wouldn't see them, wouldn't see what they were doing, that we wouldn't feel it, but we did, and we do. They sought to exploit our good nature. Give the devil his due. The social contract was good while it lasted. We had peace a lot of the time, rule of law, personal freedom, and protected rights that passed from generation to generation. That was then, though, and this is now. Now a handful of frightened billionaires and their enablers seek to make the pot a prison. By the manipulation of fear and the application of propaganda, they want us to be and to remain forever as frightened as they are. They tell those of us who've noticed that we're being silly, that nothing of the sort is happening. This is gaslighting, and that is the gas that's already lit under the pot. But look at what they've done. Having slipped and shouldered their way further and further into our lives, every aspect of our lives, they've only made a mess of everything. For all their wealth and their so-called wisdom, we're all about to get poorer, colder, and hungrier. Already millions have had their health, physical, mental, or both, hopelessly compromised. It's increasingly hard not to see this as having been the plan all along. After all, surely no one in authority is stupid enough to have caused all this harm by accident. As far as I'm concerned, the social contract has been broken, not by we, the many law-abiding, tax-paying majority, but by the few of the state. Of course, an analogy only goes so far. We're not frogs. We are human beings. This is our country, our world. In the moment we decide collectively that we have nothing to fear from those who would take advantage of our good nature, in that moment the fear is gone, and somewhere in their hearts and somewhere in their heads, the billionaires in Davos must know it too.
Well, kia ora. Sorry, I've seen the reflection again. I don't know what happened to Russell Brand. It just...
Joe Biden is a man of
Oh,
his
here
word,
it is.
and his word is this: he loves the American people, particularly the American worker. So you'll never see a $10 billion
okay.
contract.
Now I've got to find where we got to. Oh, do I start it again? A bit hoha, really. I might save this video for another night. It's just on YouTube. It went from Russell Brand to Neil Oliver, and I just have no idea how that happened. I notice I have had a few technical problems here in the hospital. Last time Dad was in hospital, I actually had really good internet connection. This time round, not the best. Hoia no. I still love Neil Oliver, and you know he's talking about the same concerns that we've all had in regards to the in regards to the title that I put up, that was to do with Russell Brand, and basically talking about Biden making all these promises, and then as soon as he gets into power, he makes it, like they lie. They lie in front of you. They lie. He goes on about, he went on about in that clip with Russell Brand, he went on about the people, how he supported the ordinary citizen, and then he mentioned Amazon right at the end, and then he's come back and he's given a $10 billion contract. So all of that, that's that shifting of wealth. And then next minute he disappeared, and Neil Oliver come on, and I believe in a tohu, in a sign, and so we had to listen to Neil Oliver, because I was watching it going, what the heck just happened? I didn't do it; it did itself. So anyway, we'll watch Russell's one maybe tomorrow. Just got to see how my day goes tomorrow. Kia ora, Tia, Lois, Coco, Ramari. Thank you guys, Nikki, Michelle. Awesome for tuning in. As I said, it's a bit of a late one. I'm a bit ngingy actually, because my papa had a bit of a restless night last night. Not a bad night, but it's the early hour wake ups, in the mornings, reminds me of when I was when I had my babies. And as mothers, I think you can all relate to this, right? That your eyes are opening up when the baby starts crying. Well, my father doesn't do any of that, but I can hear him ruffling, trying to get out of bed, which is a great sign. Every day he does, he improves. Yeah, I can see a difference in my dad in his ahua. When you talk to him, yeah, there's definitely something different. But I'm so grateful that he's still with us, and that he's a warrior, he's a champion, and he's an inspiration. But yeah, so I'm just treasuring this time with him. At the Hoipera. We just received some really sad news today. Our nephew passed today. Not too sure what has happened. So my darling is looking at travelling back to the Waikato. It's just been horrendous, whānau. It's just been, yeah. Trying, challenging times, and gosh, I wish I could be in two places at once. But I'll talk to my darling. My darling said, you stay with your dad. It's important you stay with your dad. But I'll talk to him tomorrow, because it's about me. He supports me 150%. And so I'll talk to him tomorrow. And Dad's supposed to be moving into physio because he's very frail. And it's about building up his strength. But in regards to these videos, I like to use them as talking points. But what about Terina, the waiata? Gosh, she's got a beautiful angelic voice, eh? Absolutely beautiful. So I hope you're enjoying her waiata. And I put on her waiata last night as well. And I think her clip is called Waiata Mai. So yeah, just I use music just to allow people whānau to come on. But what Neil Oliver was talking about was the technocrats, autocrats. What Russell Brand was talking about is they make promises and basically don't stick by them. So it's lies. And what Neil Oliver was talking about was we are awake, I guess. And when you talk about that frog, now what was that inconvenient truth? right, by Al Gore. To watch that documentary. If you haven't seen that documentary, go and watch it. It's about climate change. And they showed there was a clip, an animated clip of a frog. They put a frog into a pot, turn the heat on, and the heat starts rising, and the frog slowly but surely got cooked. Yeah, and you know what Neil Oliver was talking about was, you know, the way that the world's been manipulated. You know that they're so arrogant, but what he was saying that they probably fear us more than we don't know. We don't know what to fear, but people are absolutely waking up to it now. Now the government, if you recall today, the government has announced, they did a press release this afternoon. Monkeypox will be added to New Zealand's schedule of notifiable diseases after decision by the government today. While no cases of monkeypox have been detected in New Zealand so far, we are making sure we are as prepared as possible if any cases do appear here, Associate Health Minister Dr. Ashia Varel announced today. Designating monkeypox as a notifiable disease. Oh my gosh, we've just had an earthquake. I don't know. Oh, it's rocking. Oh my gosh. My brother felt an earthquake yesterday. I thought I felt one this morning. This was a noticeable one. I don't know if you've seen or heard anything, Fane. Did you hear like a? I don't know if you saw it. Next is next is bullpox. Full of bull. Pox full of bull. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I was interrupted by an earthquake. Are you in Hamilton? No, I'm in New Plymouth. Yeah, so there's been my mother felt it the other day, and my brother felt it as well. Not that one; they felt it differently, and I didn't feel it, but I definitely felt that one. And I'm going to watch my live because you could hear it, and you just actually heard the. It's like the walls creak, and then there was just a little wave. I could see a little wave. Anyway. Oh, well, lucky it wasn't a big one. And I guess the best place to be is the hospital. Yeah, Kira. Anyway, okay, fun though. Now, where was I with this? Press release. Designating monkeypox as a notifiable disease means we can utilize the tools needed to contain any possible spread of the disease, including contact tracing, hello, and isolation orders. Oh, hecka. Medical professionals are now also required to notify the medical officer of health about any known or suspected cases. We continue to monitor the global situation and keep in close contact with our international partners and officials abroad. The first cluster of cases was identified in the United States in May. Since the 2nd of June 2022, over 780 cases have since been identified across 27 countries. Monkeypox is a viral disease that typically begins with symptoms such as fever, chills, muscle aches, backache, swollen lymph nodes, and exhaustion. A blister-like rash or lesions then typically appear on the face and spread to other parts of the body. The rash goes through several stages like chickenpox before finally becoming a scab that falls off. My message to New Zealanders who have recently returned from overseas is to continue practicing good hand hygiene, and if you develop any monkeypox symptoms, especially If you develop a rash along with a fever and swollen lymph nodes, isolate from others and seek advice. The Ministry of Health has already developed a monkeypox testing protocols in partnership with the New Zealand Microbiology Network, and the PCR test should be available at ESR later this week. The ministry has also established an initial monkeypox assessment team and will continue to monitor the situation and establish an outbreak response for one or more cases, if one or more cases are identified. Now, remember, when we went down and when we went into lockdown, there was only one case in New Zealand. So they will lock us down with one case. I'm just freaking over it. Hey, this could continue forever and ever and ever and ever in a day. Rinse and repeat. Sorry, fun. I'm going to put up some of your posts. Rinse and repeat. I thought they would have dropped this. The comments I've seen, not many are prepared to go along with it. No, I think people are over it, and they're over this government. And this government, they know they're not going to get back in, and they don't care really, do they? I mean, the bloody speaker. I mean, the majority of the public said he should get, and they still keep him. They still keep him there. So they don't care about what the public thinks, feels, or cares about, do they? Must be burning a hole in her pocket, ready for the box. Oh my gosh. Yeah, just over it. Over it too far. No compliance from me. Nah, I think we just got to push back. She might have civil disobedience. Or might be a lot more than those of us who were in Wellington this next time. Be pushing their luck, I think. What does Val say? These man-made viruses being pushed into the community so they can get paid big money. It's all of that. Gosh. And it's that, I mean, $47 billion, that's what Russell Brand said, has gone out of our pockets into Pfizer. 47. And should companies be making money off the backs of a world pandemic? This government is corrupt. You are right. They do not care about the people. Nah. There's been, you see how she talks to us compared to how she talked to the public of the US. I mean, they absolutely adored and loved her. Maybe I'm just getting tired because I do feel a bit ngingy. There's been a lot happening with us. With our wharipuni catch up, we've got a really good lawyer working for us. They have continued to pull apparently the asbestos down from around the house, which leaves the whare open to the elements. So a whānau member sent me photos of the wharipuni as well, and I just thought, oh gosh, this day couldn't get worse. And then my daughter rings me just before I did my live, and they were at the doctor's, and my 3-year-old mokopuna got her foot caught in the door, and now she's wearing a moon boot. I was just like, I can't wait for this day to be finished. Just thinking of all our whānau with our nephew. It's my husband's brother's boy. Just such a shock. Not much older than my own son. So just such a shock. So there's just lots going on for me, whānau. But, we just got to be there for all our whānau, support our whānau, show the aroha that we know how to show, karakia, karakia, you can't go wrong with karakia for, it doesn't have to be the atua, it could be whoever your higher being source is, whether or not it's your tupuna, whether or not it's another higher being. But I think if we get our source of inspiration from there, that's we've got to have something higher than ourselves. I've just seen my band actually. So you know how me and my husband go. I just forgot to take it off. Me and my husband go to the pools in Kirikiriru. Well, we went to the pools here in New Plymouth, and it was amazing. Whānau. So awesome. I'll just put up some of your comments. Kia ora, Sissy. Thanks for the time you take to share. God bless you and all your whānau. Thank you, Hannah. Appreciate that. Nikki says, got to grow the community and the food and support independent. I saw something on Facebook which was really funny, where it was it just come up on my feed, and it was someone saying that they'd just been robbed at a petrol station, and laid a complaint to the police, and the police said, "Do you know who it is?" And they go, "Yeah, pump one." Pump one from the petrol station. I mean, it's not funny, is it? Whānau, it costs you an arm and a leg to travel. But I thought that was quite hilarious. I mean, we need the little blessings here and there, and some of these jokes that come across Facebook can be quite hilarious. What other comments are coming up? I don't know. Are you directing that kikonei to is what I'm assuming. Oh, okay, te pai. That's tō whakaro. Hey, that's tō whakaro. That's one whakaro. So what else have we got here? Oh, thank you, Diane. Appreciate that. Yes, I am. I'm going to go and have a moi soon. Hopefully, Dad might sleep through tonight. But he's, like I say, he's doing way better. Really proud of him. Yeah, that's right. I know. Okay, Val. Yeah, tō whakaro. You're funny. You're funny. Thanks for sharing though, Val. Appreciate it. Tia, what are you saying, Tia? Yeah, that's right, hey. Yep. The price of living is certainly a concern for everyone. And I appreciate that it's a concern for the whānau that come onto my life. So, it's about doing what we can, growing our gardens, and sharing kai even. Going back to, like my husband said, when he was a child, they all had a garden. They had quarter acres and they never had lawns, and they were all gardens, and they would grow different crops, share it amongst the whānau, and what was left over they'd give to the marae. And I think we need to get back to that. Okay, I'm going to share this. 1 case and we're in lockdown, really. Does all your information come from? Oh, go do your homework, Harangi. You know, I do my homework, and yes, there was one case that came in, and we went into lockdown. So go check it out. If you just come onto my page, just the troll where you can troll on, actually, because I am a little bit ngingy, and I'm not in the mood to tolerate anyone that's just trolling. If you've got a comment, Keita Pai. I'm interested in comments. I don't have to agree with them. But yeah, just Google it. You'll find it. I'm not going to do your research for you. Anyway, what else have we got here? Hine, sending aroha to you in whānau whaia. Oh, thank you, hon. So, yes. So, harangi, biru. Have a good night and go away, do your homework before you start throwing stones. And then maybe we'll catch up again after that. Any more questions, whānau? Gosh, sorry, it's probably one of the most boring lives I've ever done. It's only because I'm tired. But, what I was saying is we went to New Plymouth Pool, and I need to cut this off. But it was amazing. It was a good time away from the hospital, and it was just time out for me and my darling. And they've got a sauna, very similar to what we have in Hamilton. Except our one's cheaper. Our pools are cheaper by a few dollars. So, but it was worth every cent. And the new comment coming on. What's the new comments? Oh, thank you. Thank you, whānau. Really appreciate it. Look, I haven't got much more else to say, so I'm going to tune out tonight. So have a blessed night. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to my live, and hopefully I'm a bit more onto it in my next live. Pō Mārie, have an awesome night. Ka kite. Kia ora.